McMahon, and I reported to Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon, and Linda McMahon at different times. Loved it, learned an absolute ton. And then I got a phone call. One of our agency partners won the UFC account, and they're like, "Hey, can you come over to the agency and help us at UFC to monetize the content?" So great. Went over there. I was in Ogilvy, New York for probably a year and a half, and then I went to Warner Brothers. And at Warner Brothers, I got an opportunity to work on live TV and movies. So the TMZ, that was wild. Like the number 60, I think it was something crazy, like 60 million people a day were going to TMZ at lunchtime just to read
Wow.
celebrity gossip. And like, how do you monetize that? And how do you make money off of it versus Ellen DeGeneres, who, her TV show only ran for X number of months a year, but how do you get the most out of that IP to make as much money as possible? Having a great time working across the Warner properties, and then we came up with an approach where think of a guest coming on to Conan O'Brien, and they're promoting their movie. So like hypothetically, The Rock, like The Rock goes on Conan O'Brien, or The Rock goes on um, Ellen. What used to happen is they would air it on TV, but then consumers weren't watching as much TV as they were. So we came up with an approach where bring your talent onto the show. We will cut the clip immediately. And then if they're promoting a movie, I'll guarantee you 3 to 6 million views to men 18 to 34 who live in New England, who went to this type of school. And, we could promote the movie exactly the way they wanted to exactly who they wanted. And we turned that into a $100 million business in less than 3 years. It was super because we were already recording the content, and then we started to monetize the media. So we would buy the media views for, like 2 cents, and we'd sell it for 10 to 25 cents. Turned into a huge opportunity, having a lot of fun with it. And then I got the all-time phone call, Barstool Sports. For those
Working
those
for
of you
Dave.
who know Barstool, yep, it was. I had a friend, and Dave was at the point where Penn National owned Barstool, and he needed to get a certain valuation to unlock the next level of funding. And in order to do that, he needed to get his ad revenue up to a certain dollar amount. So I got in there, and Barstool had everything that I looked for. It was a brand that people didn't like, they loved, and
Yeah.
um, when they told their audience to do something, I mean, when Dave tells you to eat a pizza, people go and eat that pizza. It's wild. I've never seen the closest I've seen to that brand love is WWE. It's the same type of thing at WWE. People don't like it, they love it. We all know wrestling fans that are like crazy about wrestling. So Dave was really ready to experiment with digital, which is exactly what WWE, Warner Brothers, and Barstool were trying to do. And with that brand love and the ability to bring the brand into new channels, it just takes off. Like literally, to steal Dave's line, to the moon. All the numbers were fantastic. Over my shoulder, you see the One Bite Pizza review. You guys probably remember that during COVID, where Dave has reviewed pizzas for years and years and years. But during COVID, he couldn't go to the restaurant. So he started reviewing some frozen pizzas. He launched his own frozen pizza. And within a month, it became the number one selling frozen pizza in all of Walmart for a budget of $5,000. It was wild. And then I got once we hit the dollar amount that Dave needed to unlock his next level of funding, one Friday afternoon, I got a phone call about Bojangles. And Bojangles follows a lot of the similar path of entertainment of anyone who grows up in the South knows what Bojangles is, and they typically smile and they typically love it. And they'll tell you whether it's the Bowberry biscuit or, a Cajun filet or the bone-in chicken, whatever the case may be. Um, but the brand needed to kind of wake up, and the brand needed to do way more in digital and needed to get younger. So I came down here, and during the interview process, I went around and I talked to employees, and then I talked to hotels, people working at hotels and gas stations, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you know about Bojangles?" And they would all light up, and they would all tell me their favorite menu item, and I'm like, "This is unbelievable." We have the opportunity to kind of put the Barstool model into Bojangles, where we have this huge fan base. Let's ask them to rate and review our food because they love it. And by doing that, we were able to skyrocket our sales. We went from being 5 points behind the industry to 5 points ahead of the industry with the same budget in less than a year. Our social media mentions went up 700%. And it's been a wild, wild ride over here, but long way of kind of telling the story of uh, my career path and where I got. And I'm happy to address any questions. I saw some things were popping up, but I'm sorry I haven't been able to read all of them as they've been coming up. So
Oh yeah, they'll fly up. People, if they got questions, they can raise a hand, no sweat, and jump right in and ask. So that's not an issue. So, I mean, how does somebody like how do you see somebody getting out of service and getting into that type of work?
So there's a couple different ways. I would say like someone coming out of the service. Um,
Somebody's got a hot mic and a great evil laugh there.
I like that line about Bojangles was sleeping for a while, but it's not. We are awake now. Go on any type of social media and type in like Bojangles cookie or type in Bojangles bread.
What?
And oh yeah, the Bowberry cookie is legit. That's absolutely legit. Sausage Bowberry, legit. The fans are,
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
but it's talking specifically about Bojangles. Um,
That's fucking funny.
the
Hey, you got a hot mic. I know it's effing funny.
um, Having military training and the precision, some of our best operators at the store level have military backgrounds.
And it's
Um,
happening.
they know how to lead a team.
Uh-huh. Uh,
They they
Hey,
know.
somebody's got to mute their mic if they're not listening.
Are we good?
Yeah, I hope so. If not, I'm going to mute everybody and unmute you if I have to.
Okay, no worries. Um, so like managing a store is really interesting because you need to understand how to respond to people, how to manage inventory, how to respond to just the crazy. I mean, crazy stuff happens in those stores, and there's the day-to-day activity of um, make sure that you've got the right people and the right equipment to feed everybody, but then how do you respond on the fly? And how do you deal with crazy customers? And then how do you deal with corporate? Whenever I hear that someone at a store level, whether it's an entry level employee or an AD or a manager, has a military background, my shoulders go down because they know how to do all this from the military training and they run tight ships. The stores are clean, the people are organized, everything just seems to work really well. For no, for people that haven't had Bojangles, just to give a kind of sense of scale, we're 820 stores across 19 states now. So we're going national. Think of us a little bit like the southern version of In-N-Out, but for chicken. We're a regional brand trying to go national. And for those that know Bojangles, they love it. For those who are new to it, we're coming. We want everyone to be part of the Bojangles revolution. And yeah, whoever said that attention to detail is critical in any capacity, yes. Like hard, yes. Sean just said that. Paying attention to the details, making sure your store is clean, you've got the right inventory, you've got the right people working for you, you're following the procedures, whether it's Bojangles or another QSR, that's going to make you win. And I'll tell you, the QSR industry is constantly looking for people. We need quality leaders. We're not necessarily, we always need people to help make the food, but finding leaders to lead the team are unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, leadership thing, we constantly, hear that kind of stuff here, but do you ever run into the stuff where, hey, the military leadership's a good start, but you need to adjust it? Do you ever run into those situations that you've seen? Less directive and more collaborative?
I'm sure there's examples of it. From my perspective, like when I go and visit the stores, when I pull into a store, I can make a pretty good bet on whether or not the AD has a military background. If the store is clean on the outside and everything is organized and the bushes are cut, before I even walk in, I'm like, I think this person probably has a military background. Because, the comment of attention to detail matters. And there's no shortage of work in QSR. It's hard work. It's not easy, but it's very well compensated. You get paid well you get bonuses, you get incentives, and then they want to keep people.
So is there any folks that you've talked to on the military side, you see them come from a specific career field more often than others? That's something that just you didn't even notice.
You
Just
know,
curious. I mean,
for me,
quality is a big career field militarily.
this is my first tour of duty, if you will, in the QSR industry. So understanding the backgrounds, like we typically have a lot of people who have been in, they've worked at other QSRs or they've been with us. I can think of a couple different stores where, the employees have been there for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, like a crazy amount of time. But when we get a new influx of talent, when when we can find military, it's that training is so invaluable. And it's something you should be really proud of. And it's not just Bojangles looking for that, all the QSRs. Oh, Raising Cane's. Boo, John. I see that. Boo.
Taking shots across the bow. Come on, guys. Um, I mean, big difference here between entertainment and marketing. They both change really quick. I mean, how'd you manage to find yourself able to pivot between those two things, or did you find that they locked together pretty well?
It's the thinking and the speed of entertainment brought to fast food. I'll talk a little bit about live events and the WWE, because that's another area where I've had a chance to work with a number of individuals from the military at the WWE. Setting up for the live events is a challenge. Like, you need to be exceptionally organized. You need to be able to arrive. You need to get the arena ready. You need to get up and out of there in a very condensed time frame. And imagine WrestleMania, like setting up for WrestleMania or Monday Night Raw. You've got a team that has to go in there with literally military precision of, hey, we're in Boston, we're in the Garden for, I don't know, we'll call it 12 hours. How do you get everything in? How do you get everything out? How do you make sure that everything is safe? All of those skills that are how do you communicate across groups? How do you get it all done? There's a constant need for that, whether that's the WWE or other live events, whether it's a concert, whether it's a circus, whether it's any type of large operation.
Yeah, that just sings to us because we've all had to deal with that at some point, top to bottom, that kind of project and management. So, Keaton, you got a question? Go ahead, sir.
Hey, yeah, sorry. Kind of coming from I'm not familiar with the civilian term. What is a QSR industry? What does QSR stand for? I'm
So,
sorry. Dumb
no,
question.
fair question. Thank you for flagging that. QSR stands for quick service restaurant. So
Okay.
a lot of people call it fast food, but the definition of fast food is so broad. The quick service restaurants of like a KFC, McDonald's, Burger King,
Sure.
Zaxby's, Cane's, all those guys, if you can think fast and you can operate well, the demand for your skills will be exceptionally strong.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing new to the bulk of the group here. Thinking our feet in a big hurry is, yeah, that's kind of a big thing. So, what strategies do you use to get up to speed quickly when you're getting into a new industry? Is there any formula you follow, or is it just light my hair on fire and go?
When I first get at a new job, regardless if it was entertainment, fast food, agency life, is a lot of listening. What is the terminology? What is the culture? What are the expectations that people in the environment are using on a day to day? And I'll give an example. When I first arrived at Bojangles, first thing I did for 2 weeks is go work in a store. I visited a number of different stores, and it was almost like a version of Undercover Boss.
Yeah.
Where they were teaching me how to make chicken, how to, like, I had 18-year-olds teaching me how to roll biscuits and things of that nature. And it was fun and funny for me because I was definitely a fish out of water. Like, these high school kids they can crank out the biscuits. But then when you talk to the AD and you talk to the manager and you understand that, they're overseeing, manager may have 3 stores and AD may have 7. I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of people that you need to know. That's a lot of coordination. That's a lot of, and hearing how they describe the business, how they describe the products, what language they use, what's the focus, that gave me more information going into the job. So when I got on the corporate side, I had a deeper understanding of the challenges of the front line. And it also powered our menu strategy. So a big part of this job for me at Bojangles is to come up with the menu of what are we going to offer every month of the year for each calendar year. And think about yourself as an individual consumer. You want new stuff, whether it's, I'll use a McDonald's version of the Shamrock Shake. Like, people come back every year for the
Oh
Shamrock Shake.
yeah.
What's that moment? What's going to get people to come back, and why do they care? There are tons of companies out there that give all sorts of research on, like, consumer taste profiles, blah, 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 blah. What I found is by going to the store and speaking to the employees and asking them, do you think there's a gap on the menu? What do you think we need? When it's 2 in the afternoon and it's a little slow, what do you make that's not on the menu? We got so many good products from that. We got the sausage bowberry, which was this was a really interesting one. Um, I saw this blip in the data, and this goes back to like understanding the information provided to you, which the military does a great job training in. I would see this blip in the data and the charts of on Thursdays and Fridays, people would order a Bowberry, which is a Bowberry biscuit is a biscuit with like basically blueberries in it, and it has icing. And then they would order a side of sausage. Like, what is happening here? So I went to the store. I spoke to the store manager. She started laughing and said that these are the college kids, and they come when they're hungover for a sausage Bowberry. And I was like,
Or
really?
something else.
Or and we put this in the market where instead of having the icing on the top, we put the icing on the inside because 70% of our revenue comes through the drive-through. We sold 6.3 million of them. Biggest hit of the year.
Holy cow.
It was crazy. And it goes back to the point of listening, sorting through all the information and listening to find, the chunks of gold.
Yeah, getting that consumer opinion right there from the front line makes a lot of sense. Demario, go ahead.
I see the question about the collabs. So the way that a collab works, I'll tell you about this right now. Like over my shoulder, I've got some collectible cups that here. Hold on. This. So this is a collectible cup that we did with the WWE and Bojangles. And first off, the question is, well, why did we do it? So in the summer, we needed a reason to bring consumers in because, fried chicken in the summer, that's not necessarily the best season for us. And what did I know about WWE consumers? That they eat a lot of fast food. They love fast food. And then what else do I know about the WWE fan is they're collectors. So whether it's action figures, t-shirts, you guys may have seen the show on A&E TV where, there's super collectors that any element that they can get their hands on of WWE, they're going to buy. So what if we offered them something that WWE's never had? A collectible tag team cup. So we identified specific tag teams, are like Undertaker, Kane, the Dudley Boys, over my shoulder. We've got the Hart Foundation. And then we had Hall and Nash from NWO for all the wrestling fans out there. And we lined it up. So each of these cups, it was during a promotional period in the summer. We released one cup a week. And why did we do it that way? So you would come back each week to collect it. And the way that works is you negotiate with the WWE and you license the IP, which is the intellectual property. And for X amount of time, we can use their characters and their marks on our items to help cross promote. And then what we did on their television show is I didn't want commercials on Monday Night Raw. Instead, I wanted the announcers to talk about the collectible cups. So we felt like we were part of the show. And it was gangbusters. When we announced this on Monday Night Raw and we had Pat McAfee, one of the announcers.
That guy's a trip.
He's total trip. Hold up the cups and shake them and say, these are like Bojangles is damn good. We had our highest search activity of the year. The cups immediately showed up on eBay for $20 a pop. They're still on there, which is crazy. When you could buy them, buy a value meal, you get it for $5. And it helped bring the wrestling audience into the Bojangles community, which is exactly what we wanted to accomplish.
Oh, that's just brilliant. Shaquan, go ahead.
So all this WWE talk has gotten me like super excited. So I say everything that I want to do possibly in the civilian world, and I would dump all of that just for the WWE. So well, my question for you is, what type of experience in your educational background helped you lead to even come in contact with these certain specific roles?
Yep. So I'll tell you, and if my sister were here, she'd be laughing. I like you have loved the WWE for most of my life. I applied to the WWE 16 different times over the course of my career. I constantly checked their website and I would just keep applying and keep applying and keep applying. And then finally I found a role that lined up with my skill sets. And there's a website, wwecareers.com. WWE is very pro-military, like exceptionally pro-military. They do the tributes to the troops every year, and whenever they can, they try to hire military talent. The chief of staff, who's currently, I'm not sure if he's still there or not, but he retired from the military, and he's always pushing because he knows all of the great training that happens there. What I would encourage you to do with the WWE is be consistent and persistent. Look at that site, look at the jobs, and then have an honest conversation with yourself of, the skill sets and training that you have in your background, what aligns best? Like, what's the right department? And, marketing may not be the right department for you. Instead, it may be the live events operations team, the setup, like who does the coordination of someone has to book the travel for all of the talent all the time. Who does that? Who sets up the rings? Who does television production? Who does video game productions? Read and get a sense of what are the job openings that they currently have, and then go to LinkedIn. WWE's been around for a while. Type in those job descriptions, see who comes up, who has that type of job, either had that job at the WWE or has a similar job at another live events company. Look at their experience, look at their background, and like, does your background match up to that? Or go to LinkedIn, look at WWE, and then search for the people that had a military background and ask them how they got in. There's a ton of paths to the WWE, and there's so many different elements. It's a hard job, so the burnout there can be high, but it's a fun job, and there's so many laughs that you can have. And then and a warning, if you work at the WWE, you will be flabbergasted at the number of people that come out of the woodwork and tell you how much they love wrestling. It's 16 million people a week were watching it when I was there, and it was like one of the best kept secrets ever, because no one admits to publicly watching it except for the super fans. But like, you go anywhere and they find out you work at the WWE, they'll start telling you why they love the Undertaker, or what action figure they had growing up. It's well worth chasing that brass ring. Not an easy one to get, but if you can get it, you'll love it.
That's funny. It's nobody wants to admit to it. It's like owning a moped. How'd you get here? I walked. Well, I got a moped. Oh yeah, I got one too.
Yep. Oh, good. Chuck, I like the Bushwhackers, the Bulldogs, and the Killer Bees. I'm going to go back to that. If you're wondering why we didn't put those on the cups, British Bulldogs, very interestingly enough, WWE does not own that IP. Davey Boy Smith owns that IP, so we couldn't get that one. And then Killer Bees and Bushwhackers, we just thought Undertaker and Kane were better, but you're nailing the point of nostalgia. Like, we didn't pick any of the new tag teams. We wanted the older tag teams to align with our customer base.
Yeah, you're hitting that targeted market of the age group and all that, so that makes sense. So I mean, we're on the WWE thing. You've done campaigns with huge personalities. Can you share a behind the scenes story that kind of encapsulate that high energy, unpredictable environment?
Yeah, I've got a couple funny stories that I can share. So when I first got there, Facebook was just taking off. And at my desk, I was able to launch all of the Facebook pages and Twitter pages for all the WWE superstars. And when I was explaining it to Vince McMahon, every Friday I'd have to go in and he'd be like, why are we doing this again? And I would explain to him, the power of Facebook and the ability to hear from the audience of like, what are they interested in? And he's like, well, what does that mean? And there was a company at the time called Trender. And I could watch second by second the social media conversations and overlay it onto the show. So I could show spikes in activity of, hey, they were really interested in this match, or they were really interested in this character. So I brought that chart in with me on a Friday with Vince McMahon. And I was like, he was at Monday Night Raw. And at the time I said, do you want to guess what the two most popular moments of the show were in terms of social activity? And he's like, I don't know, what were they? And then I showed him the chart. I was like, when Randy Orton came out, it spiked. And then at the time Randy Orton was attacking people and kicking them in the head, I was like, that was one of the most important spikes. And the second one was when you, Vince, came out. And then Vince looks at me and he starts laughing. He's like, I got an idea. Wait till next week. I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and WWE is really big on the magic of the storytelling. So you don't really see the script in advance, and Vince was always changing it up to the last minute anyways. So I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and I told him, like, in the first segment, so between 9 and 9:15, around 9:12, Vince McMahon comes out. I see the spike in social activity. And then Randy Orton comes out, and it spikes even higher. Randy Orton attacks Vince McMahon. He comes back into the office on Friday. The elevator opens up. Vince has a big black eye because he got kicked in the head. And he's like, how was the chart? And I showed him the chart. I was like, it took off. You were exactly right. He understood the data that I was showing him, that the fans were interested in this character and this character. He combined them, and he made it even higher.
Yeah, all he had to do is take a black eye for it, and that probably made him quite a few bucks in the long run. I mean, I'll take a black eye for that kind of money.
Absolutely.
I've taken it for a lot less.
Hey Arnold, I like the comment. We tested fried pickles. We didn't make them spicy, but we put them with house-made ranch. They sold pretty well. You may be seeing them on the calendar next year. Um, they that is another example of something that the employees make at kind of their downtime, and we're trying to commercialize it.
Yeah, take advantage of that knowledge. That's great. So, I mean, Barstool. I mean, they're pretty polarizing. Like you said, you either love them, and then there's the other group that hates them. So stepping into that culture, I mean, do you have a story you could share that shows that brand balance of being disruptive while still driving, being conscious of driving business growth?
Yeah, I think the one bite pizza review is a really fun one to tell. So when COVID hit, our ability to make content was limited, and what we came back with was how could we get in the frozen food aisle with a limited budget? And Dave was just a master at this. He developed the frozen pizza, he launched the frozen pizza, and then in terms of polarization, he had a number of female talent that were called smoke shows. He sent out the smoke shows, which were all attractive women, to Walmart to hold up this pizza box in every single Walmart. And he took over Walmart social media. The response was so overwhelming that typically when you put a new product into Walmart, you get it in like X number of test stores. Within a month, he was in every single Walmart, which is unheard of. And then he went from a no-name pizza to the number one selling frozen pizza in all of Walmart, and
Well,
spent less than
I mean,
$5,000.
just driving the manufacturing to make that happen had to be quite the challenge. Because all of a sudden you're going from like, okay, we're going to make 10,000 pizzas to make 10 million pizzas. I mean,
Yeah, we worked with a third party that could produce it all, and then that's why the rollout took time. Like the demand was so high, the supplier couldn't keep up.
yeah, that's not a bad problem to have. I mean, can you share a story about how you've seen Bojangles connect with people in a way that goes beyond food? I mean, in the social media, has there been any particular campaign where you're like, bam, nailed it?
Yeah, the moment with the sausage bowberry that I was describing, there was a local influencer who did a menu hack of the sausage bowberry where like he made it. I watched his video of it, and then when we brought it to life, we contacted him. We're like, hey, guess what? We're actually bringing this to the menu. And then we contacted Chime Time, for those of you in the North Carolina area. He's a local influencer. When he reviewed it, I asked him, we were launching it the first week of the month. That was intentional because most people get paid on the first week of the month. He recorded it on Wednesday, published it on Thursday, and by Saturday we had lines out the door, people trying to get this thing. And he was so animated and so descriptive of the product where he's like, this thing, it kills. And he was like, he was eating it in his car and he was like punching the ceiling, being like, this is unbelievable. The response was 6.3 million of these things. It was unbelievable. We've never seen anything like it before.
So, I mean, not to dig into the business, but I mean, does somebody who does that kind of stuff from the social media side ever get any sort of remuneration? So if somebody
Yeah,
here
we
gets
pay them.
doing that
Yeah,
kind of
so
stuff,
the way that like a paid influencer, it's a crowded space.
oh yeah.
It's normally 5 to 10 grand that you pay an influencer, and then you keep going back if they can move their audience in a meaningful way. But then the challenge from a brand perspective is once an influencer gets good, like once they start reviewing McDonald's and Burger King, their price goes up and their authenticity goes down.
Mhm.
When it's organic and natural branding, it's super helpful. When it feels paid, people will call you out in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting better at sniffing that BS as it comes off, but somebody brand new you haven't heard of going nuts, especially, I mean, remember the guy who was like reviewing burgers, the big black dude that was in his car reviewing burgers, you go, nice. So, I mean, I don't know what he was eating, but I was like, yeah, I'll have one of those. I mean, that must
Yeah.
be Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, Tom, just listening to you on a lot of the analytics you use, what sources are you drawing your information from to actually do the effective advertising?
So that's a great question. We use a tool called Power BI over here. And what Power BI does is it takes a lot of the information at the store level and rolls it up so I can see across all of our stores how many people bought a sausage biscuit for breakfast between 8 and 9 o'clock. Like the level of detail and reporting that all of the fast food restaurants have is unbelievable. So you just have to be able to sort through the data and pivot it to kind of get to the gold. So once you understand what the most popular products are, um, you can put more media dollars behind it. And then, we've got the equivalent of like a Power BI for our media buying tools, but Power BI is my go-to. Like if you guys know Power BI, oof, I wish I did. I know how to read it. I don't know how to program it, and I don't know how to lay it out, but we've got a whole team here that does that. And the rise of data and the use of data, especially as AI gets bigger and bigger, it's just going to keep going on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Marcus, go ahead.
Hey Tom, thank you for being here. What an amazing journey that you've had. That's so cool. Like I used to watch WWE all the time, and then as I got older, I got more in the bar stool. So that's dope. I kind of just wanted to ask though, more from like a from your point of view kind of thing, because I know you said like you'll bring stuff to the market and like you'll see how it does, and like with all your data tracking everything, you can see how everything's doing. If something's not doing so well, you probably take it off the menu, or
Mhm.
if like you get enough requests about something, you add it to the menu. So someone like Canes who like doesn't add or doesn't subtract anything, does that have any kind of impact on like other companies like yourself? And like how do you see like their marketing side of things from
Yeah, great
just
question.
like holding down the fort?
So Canes is interesting. If you were going to put Canes right next to Bojangles, we both have roughly 800 stores, like 820, 815, like something along those lines. But our models are very different. What do I mean by that? We do 40% of our business for breakfast, like before they even open. They're not a breakfast provider, but they keep their menu very simple. They've they don't have a lot of variation in there, and they execute at a very high level. So they do a couple things, and they do them really, really, really well. And then when you think about how they're advertising, their approach to advertising is very different, and they're benefiting from that. So what do I mean by that? Growing up, there's probably a lot of people on this call who, watch TV, watch cartoons, and like we ate at McDonald's. Why did we eat at McDonald's? Because we saw the commercials on the TV shows that we were watching, whether it was G.I. Joe, Transformers, like whatever your show was growing up. You probably saw a McDonald's commercial and you thought that was interesting. You thought that was cool. You wanted the toys, like whatever the case may be. Now there's been such disruption in media. Like I challenge you to find a Raising Cane's commercial on TV. They don't spend a lot of money on TV. Instead, they still want to influence younger consumers, but they do it through influencer partnerships. So they're always working with the biggest and brightest influencers on social media, because next time you go into a fast food restaurant, look around. The consistent thing that you'll see is people have the food in one hand, the phone in the other. So they're doing a brilliant job of connecting with the younger consumer and highlighting their product and why they're developing a vibe of like why they're cool. And that's the cool place to be. So different companies handle this in different ways based on who your current customer is. They skew younger than we do. We're a little bit older, therefore we need more variation and more food variety. But there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. That's why I keep encouraging everyone to like look at the fast food industry, because these jobs aren't going anywhere. And if you can bring a unique element to it, you can have a lot of fun because the budgets are huge here. Like think about what you've everyone go buy a Wendy's, right? That's near your house. They're doing a partnership with Netflix right now that's killer for the Addams family. Look at what you see on TV. Look at what you see in store. Like that partnership is amazing. And then for those of you that like McDonald's, they did an element with Minecraft that was great. So blurring the line between advertising and entertainment with brands, you can do that in fast food in a number of different ways.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate your openness on the subject. Thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead, John.
Hey Tom, I guess I'm going to ask the elephant in the room. So, how are the new drugs that are coming out, like Ozempic and Wegovy and all that stuff? How is that like impacting your business? And like from a marketing perspective, like how are you like trying to get people to go into fast food? Because we're seeing these drugs are stopping people from wanting to eat fast food now.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I'll be totally transparent that we haven't seen much of an impact on that in our business. I know it's happening. I know it's a consumer trend. Um, but Bojangles is an interesting choice. Like it's an indulgent treat. Like people come to us when they want some fantastic fried chicken. And either they're saving up their calories or they're deciding to have it anyways. Like we really haven't seen that. I've got peers that are talking about this in other businesses and they feel it. Um, we've yet to see that so far. We're actually seeing the opposite of we're having one of our best sales years ever. Um, so, like our approach is there are no microwaves in the back of our kitchen. It's a special treat. It's an indulgent treat, and I think people are planning around that. I don't disagree with you that it's happening in the industry. It hasn't impacted this brand very hard.
It sounds like you guys know what you're doing, right? And I think you got it right. I think the fact that like you're making it a treat, that it's a special thing, and it's not just like another like crappy burger that people are eating. Like they still want that. They still desire that. So
Yeah.
I think that's why you're successful. That's pretty cool to hear.
We're also investing in quality, right? Like where we don't
Huge.
we make our biscuits in-house. Like this is gonna sound a little bit like a plug, but Dunkin' Donuts back in the day when you used to go to Dunkin' Donuts growing up, like they made
Time to make the donuts.
the back of the house. Like we still get up at like 4 a.m. to roll these biscuits. We make them every 20 minutes. So they taste different because we do it the hard way and it tastes better. The fried chicken, it's not an easy job, but when you do it right, it's great. The iced tea, like I grew up in Connecticut. I think iced tea. Down here, it's sweet tea. They steep it. Like, what the hell does that mean? But if you explain it and you taste it, you're like, oh wow, that does taste better. And are people coming to Bojangles 5 times a week? Like, there's probably some super fans that do that, but the vast majority come to us, probably once or twice a month, and they kind of save up the treat. They know the treat, and then they get what they want when they come.
That's pretty cool. Thanks.
Makes sense. So back on the veteran side of things, so if you're advising, a veteran entering a civilian business, what are the first steps you'd suggest that they take on their approach?
Be proud of your military history. Talk through the training. And for those, I think any interview you have in whatever industry you're in, I would start it off. Don't assume that the person had a chance to review your resume in the same level of detail that you took in writing it. Instead, go in and start with, I'm a proud military veteran with X number of years of service. And here's what that means. Because they need to know about the great training. They need to know about the level of discipline. They need to know about the commitment. Because you won't be successful in the military unless you have that attention to detail. If you stay on time, if you can accomplish tasks, that's transferable to any industry you go into, and it inspires confidence.
Yes, I mean, especially being on time. I mean, there's so many people that just don't really think about that now. Whereas for us, if we're not 15 minutes early, we're freaking out.
Yeah. I wish more people were like that. I grew up before my dad was a dentist, he was in the military, and we were always early. You were not late, period. That was not an option. If you're 10 minutes early, you're late type of thing. And if more people were like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It makes a difference, but it depends on how much you value it. So my last one. So what's one piece of advice you give to anyone making like this a major career transition?
It's okay to dream and it's okay to chase what you want. It's not easy. It's a little bit scary, but you have the skills that you can apply to whatever industry you go into. You are successful in the military. That is going to be much harder than any of these opportunities that, whether we're talking wrestling, whether we're talking chicken, whether we're talking Barstool or movies, that is not as hard as the job that you've already had. Be very confident in your skills and your accomplishments, and don't be afraid to let people know all this great training and how your skills will transfer over to help them.
That's good stuff. Anybody have any more questions before I let them go? Closing thoughts? Going once, twice. Hey, Nathaniel, go ahead.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for speaking. I just kind of want to actually thank you because listening to your stories and looking at the data, it kind of goes with data science a lot. So it's awesome to hear the impacts that you've been able to receive just by looking at the data and using Power BI. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate everybody's time.
Sweet. Michael.
All right, real quick, because you mentioned the use of the Microsoft services there. I know you're marketing and us IT folks, although we may not be marketing people, we are interested in the ability to sell. But is there things that you see that may not be on the website under the careers for like the individual stores or whatnot, that may be something that that the company could use somebody like one of us from this organization to help with the managed services, with the Microsoft services, or with the online services, website services?
That is a great question. A lot of the elements that you're talking about fall outside of the realm of marketing. What happens here is like my peer who's in charge, our chief technology officer, he posts everything to the job board as soon as we have something available, and we're always looking for talent. So, similar to the WWE comment, I would say be consistent, be persistent, and keep checking the boards, and just be ready to jump on it when you see it. Like, don't spend 3 days applying, and like I doubt you guys do, but like have your materials ready, be prepared, like the military trained you, apply for it, get your stuff in there, and then hopefully we can see it. We can see over here on the Bojangles side. You can fight the chicken wars with us.
Those brutal chicken wars. Hey, so Tom, it's been great having you here. Any closing thoughts you'd like to share?
No, I just want to thank everyone for their time. Cedric, I like the comment of the hell yeah. I'll give you a hell yeah. The little WWE shout out there. If you haven't, I give everyone an encouragement to, give Bojangles a try if you haven't had chicken biscuits and tea in a little while. But thank you again for all of the time, attention, and most importantly, the service. We appreciate it.
That was awesome. Hey, Tom Boland, Bojangles, thank you very much for spending a little bit of time here with us. I'll definitely reach out and hit you up at some point soon. It's a pleasure having you here. I hope I can have you back again soon.
That sounds great. Thanks so much. Take care, guys.
Home run.
Bye-bye.
Okay, y'all. We'll be back here in about 8 minutes, and we have Ashley Kennedy of the Kennedy Group coming up next. We'll see you in a few.
Ernest, he definitely had an awesome story. What a great guy.